What is up, my friend? Welcome to Grow Your Video Business. This is the show for videographers and studio owners who want to learn how to get paid what they're worth, run a smarter business, and live a better life. My name is Ryan Coral, and I have the utmost honor and privilege to be your host. Thanks for being here today. This episode of the show is brought to you by Core Group. I have an awesome episode for you. I had just an amazing conversation with fellow videographer and business owner legend, Paul Jew, and we talked about the importance of continuing education in this industry. We also covered an amazing marketing concept that Paul is using to grow his business and make an impact. This was probably my favorite part of the conversation. And then also we talked about some overall solid ideas that I think will apply to a lot of video business owners out there. You're going to want to stick around for the entire episode. This guy is a legend. One of my favorite things about hosting the show is that I get to hang out with amazing people doing this work. It's encouraging. It's exciting. It makes me better. If you're in a spot where you're stuck inside of your business, or you're just ready to take things to the next level, or maybe you're very part-time in this work and you want to leave your real job and do video full-time, if this is you, then I want you to join me in May on the 17th for the totally free 5-day Grow Your Video Business Challenge, where I'm going to be walking you through some key concepts that I teach in our paid course, the Video Business Academy. Not only am I going to help you get clear on your focus, your niche, and your marketing approach, but you'll also meet hundreds of other videographers, video makers, and business owners, and you'll walk away with a brand new plan for your business, or at least a fresh perspective with some new ideas on how to grow your video business. But here's the thing. Don't just take my word for it. If you go to studiosherpas.com/challenge, we've got some testimonials and some stories of previous attendees of the challenge. They're talking about the huge value that they received for, or as part of being a part of the 5-day challenge. People took massive action. It was definitely one of my favorite things that I've ever done alongside our in-person event. That definitely is up there. But people are seeing big results. I sent an email out a few days ago just to check in with people that took the last challenge and hear where they're at, and hearing the confidence and the wins that people are experiencing is so encouraging, super, super exciting. And the best part is the 5-day challenge is totally free. It starts May 17th, so you can register and grab your spot if you go to studiosherpas.com/challenge, and I look forward to seeing you there. If you haven't checked out Core Group yet, if you don't have a financial somebody way smarter than you helping you with your finances, taxes, helping create a strategy for you, then you need to consider Core Group. Let's hear a little bit about them in this ad, and then we'll jump into the episode. Thank you again for being here, and thank you for supporting our sponsor. If there was one thing that could have ended my business 17 years ago, it would be because of the numbers. I hate accounting, taxes, W-9s, W-2s, WD-40s, spreadsheets, all of that stuff. And I hate it mostly because I'm afraid of it. I'm just not great with numbers. If this sounds familiar, or if you're so new in your business that it's not even on your radar yet, you need Core Group. Core Group can help you create financial systems and tax strategies that you need so you can grow profitably, and they've been doing this for over 20 years. They become an extension of your team so that you can stay in your lane of expertise and then lean on them to help guide you along the way. For me, having a team of experts in my corner to help keep track of our books and just to make sure that we're budgeting for taxes appropriately, to have an actual strategy for our taxes and our accounting is priceless. And it allows me to sleep easier at night knowing that I don't have to be an expert in that arena. If you want to avoid surprises in your video business and you want experienced help building a plan for the future that you want, both professionally and personally, head over to studiosherpas.com/core for more information. And when you're ready to set up a free consult with them, make sure to mention Studio Sherpas for a special discount too. got your back. Get more out of your accountant. Go to studiosherpas.com/core. All right, what's up, friends? Hey, welcome to this episode of the podcast. My guest today is Paul Ju, who is from Moji Cinema. Paul once ran the largest, this is so impressive, the largest independently owned photography studio in the entire state of New Mexico. And today, he is the CEO of Moji Cinema. Paul, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks for inviting me, Ryan.
It's super good to have you here. When I first started reading your bio, I'm like, how did this guy, 1983, you own this photography studio?
That's when I got into business with my brother.
I don't believe you. That just seems like a long time ago. You don't look old enough to.
Well, I'm 62, so I'm not that young.
Not no spring chicken. And the thing I love about that, just to be totally honest, is the whatever journey we're on, old or young or whatever, we can always learn from the generation that has gone before us and the generation that is coming after us, right? There's always these nuggets, but for the people that have gone before us, me personally, I'm always like, okay, there's going to be some good stuff here. So no pressure at all. But tell me, like, what does work look like for you guys today? Like, what are you up to? What's getting you excited?
Well, one of the things, let me just give you a little bit of backstory about how I got involved in the video business. And about 8 years ago, I was at a photo marketing convention in Las Vegas, Nevada. And there was a workshop that caught my attention. It was called Microbudget Filmmaking. And it turned out to be the course that Patrick from Muse was teaching. And me and my guys attended this workshop. And halfway through this workshop, they were showing this wedding video that they did of this couple getting married in Ireland. And I found myself tearing up watching two complete strangers getting married. And I said, wow, this is very powerful. And they talked about the power of story. And they said it's not enough to take pretty pictures. You need to be able to tell a story that's going to emotionally resonate with your audience. So I was so captivated by that workshop that I ended up sending one of my photographers, Maxwell, to Portland to apprentice under Patrick.
Oh, wow.
For a couple of months. And then he came back and we started a video division in our company. And 2 years ago, I closed my photo studio down to focus full-time on video production. And so that's how I got involved in the storytelling business and video production business.
That's super interesting. Like, I've always thought that whenever somebody's like, yeah, I'm thinking about, getting into video, this is like, people that are not even close to really starting anything video. And I always tell them, I'm like, if you really like it, you should just get into photography because you probably make a lot more money. It's a lot easier. You don't have to carry around as much equipment, like all of those things. So I'm just curious, like, what was the moment for you that said, hey, let's shut this thing down?
Well, I think that the professional photo business has been in decline nationwide. And, one of the things that has happened is people are using their own cell phones to take pictures now, and they don't depend upon professionals anymore. Plus, there are a plethora of freelancers out there who are advertising, I'll do your photos for $50 and give you all the images. And, basically, the photo business became less and less lucrative. And I just saw the sales declining, the industry declining. Plus, I was falling more in love with storytelling and video to begin with. And it just made sense for me to close down the photo business and focus full time on something that I was really, that I've really fallen in love with, and which is storytelling.
That's awesome. What is the makeup of the majority of your guys' work today? What does that look like?
I would say that we do a lot of stories for corporations and companies to help them tell the story about how they got started. A lot of our companies are using it for onboarding purposes to indoctrinate new employees for what they're doing, but a lot of them have also had us cut versions that they're using for marketing purposes as well too. So we do a lot of storytelling for corporations and also for nonprofits as well too, helping them tell stories to get their message out there and help them raise more support for their nonprofit or their ministry that they're involved in. So I would say that we're probably about 70% with private sector and maybe 30% nonprofit in terms of
Okay.
what
Well,
our clients, who
it
our
is.
clients are right now.
You said it was Maxwell that you had sent up to Portland to hang out with Patrick and the team.
Correct.
Is he
Correct.
still with you?
He is not. He actually moved to Portland.
Oh wow.
His fiance got a job out in the Portland area, so he's out in the Portland area. And he actually was employed by Patrick for a little bit,
Oh, that's fun.
doing some work with him. But that's how I found out about Studio Sherpas, is because I was part of the Muse storytelling,
Yeah.
and then they recommended the Studio Sherpas as being a good way of learning how to do the business aspects of things. So that's how I got to know who you are and
That's
what
super
you're
fun.
doing.
Small world. So what is the makeup of your team or your staff right now?
I have three employees working for me, so it's very different. At one time, I had 35 employees when I was in the photo business, and three different locations. But now I enjoy working with a team of three. We have they're all capable from front end to back end in terms of production, lighting. Uh, they do all the cinematography, they do all the post production, things of that nature. I'm kind of more involved as more of the sales and marketing aspect of things, and also working directly with clients and helping them come up with the video blueprints and stories and things of that nature that we're going to tell.
Yeah, that's awesome. What would you say, like, as you look at the work that you guys are doing, what out of all the projects for you, what gets you most fired up and most excited?
Yeah, well, being in business, I spent most of my career in business, so I believe I have a sense of empathy for all business owners. So I'm
That's
always
good.
curious as to what their journey is, their hero's journey has been, so to speak, in terms of them building their businesses. One of the projects that we started a few years ago, a couple of years ago, was something called abqiconic.com, where we tell the stories of Albuquerque's most iconic businesses. And the way that got started was a couple of years ago. This one company called French Funerals and Cremations, which is the largest funeral company in the state of New Mexico, contacted us and said they wanted us to do a origin story video to help onboard their employees.
Wow.
And there was such a rich history. This is a company that's been around since 1908. There was such a rich history with their company and their values and the way they do things, and they've become the iconic business of their industry in Albuquerque. And it gave me this idea that it would be really a fun thing to do, to tell the stories of every iconic business in Albuquerque. So we started doing an online poll, and we asked people just generally, who do you consider to be iconic in Albuquerque? Which businesses do you love to frequent, who you consider to be iconic status? And that gave us this ammunition for me being able to contact the CEOs or the presidents or the founders or the owners of these different companies and say, hey, you in an online poll, you were nominated as being one of Albuquerque's most iconic businesses. And we have this project that we're wanting to launch called Albuquerque Iconic Most abqiconic.com. And we'd love for you to be a part of it. And it enabled me to get meetings, direct face-to-face meetings with some of these owners and founders of these companies. And basically, I showed them the origin story that we did for French Funerals and Cremations. They have typically been very impressed with it. They saw the application for how it could benefit their business in terms of using it for onboarding purposes and for marketing purposes as well too. And then also being able to have the status of being considered one of Albuquerque's most iconic businesses. So we created this package for them where if they wanted to participate, it would cost them so much for us to tell their origin story. We put it on their website called abqiconic.com. And then we've also now enlarged it so that since we could not do in-person celebrations of honoring all of these companies. We've created this online celebration where every month we honor one of Albuquerque's most iconic businesses. And the format of that is we'll spend the first 5 or 10 minutes showing the origin story that we did for them. Then we showcase and we do an interview, a one-on-one in-depth interview. And the person that we have doing the interview is a professor at the University of New Mexico, Anderson School of Management. So he's been able to give us an audience of all the business students at the University of New Mexico, plus all of the plus all the other aspiring business owners and entrepreneurs can get involved in this as well too. So so we do this origin story. We do an in-depth interview where they share their best practices, the most practical business lessons that they've learned, what they would advise aspiring business owners and entrepreneurs to know. And then afterwards, we do a live Zoom with a Q&A session so that the community has access to these iconic business owners. So that's the format of this online celebration that we're doing. And I think that's actually a better way of doing things than the in-person celebration that we had planned, prior to COVID-19 hitting us. So it's been kind of neat because we've already done origin stories for about a dozen companies right now, and we have more in the works. I'm contacting them. It's adding some credibility because we have this website.
Yeah.
We have all of these iconic business owners who've already gotten on board. So it gives me some credibility when I meet with them saying, all of these businesses have already signed up. You need to be part of this company, and then also it provides a resource to the community as well too. So that's one of the projects that we've used that to get more business, but also to enable us to tell stories that we enjoy doing as well too.
Paul, that's amazing. I love that. That is such a cool idea. Did you guys start that just within the last year, or have you been doing that for a couple of years, or how long?
It's been about a year and a half when we first started, and it actually started because somebody asked us to do an origin story for them. But then we thought, gosh, the things that these people shared in their origin story would benefit so many other business owners and so many other aspiring business owners as well too. Why don't we tell the stories of other business owners who are iconic and get their stories out there so that people can learn from all the success principles that they have learned from and applied to be able to achieve this status where people consider them to be iconic.
So roughly, like, what does it cost? Like, if you were to approach us, if we were a New Mexico video company, and what does it look like to take part in it, to get my origin story and all that?
Yeah, so basically what I do is I show them a price sheet, and I said it's $10,000 if you give me an answer in 2 months. But if you give me an answer in a month, it'll be $9,000. If you give me an answer within the week, it's $8,000. So I give them an incentive to give me an answer right away. So it's about $8,000 as a starting point. Plus, we build that relationship, and hopefully we'll be able to cross-sell them on other types of things that we can do for them, such as recruiting videos or training videos or things of that nature. But it at least gets my foot in the door with some of these companies and get them to know and trust us enough to maybe send more work our way.
I'm like totally somehow I'm stealing this idea. It's so good, man. I love that. It's like, I had a podcast for our production company. I've actually done 2 different podcasts, and that was kind of like my sneaky way of trying to get in the room with people that, would normally just not have the time to hear about my video stuff and whatever. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I mean, hindsight, I look back, I'm like, oh man, I just, what my audience, the messaging, all that stuff wasn't clear, wasn't focused enough for me. Had I had an idea exactly like this one, it said, hey, we're going to go after iconic businesses in the Metro Detroit or the Michigan area or this specific industry, doing something like that. So what you're describing, I'm like, oh, this is like so specific, and you are adding value. I mean, granted, like you're saying, like, hey, if you want to be a part of this, like, it costs money, but for them to kind of build this, this network of other people who have been seen by other people in the community that say that these are the iconic businesses. That's such a soft sell. It's such an easy way to like reach out to somebody and say like, hey, people are telling me that you're awesome and we need to talk. You are an iconic brand. You're, in this state. Like, we need to have a chat. Like, who doesn't want to like say like, oh, sure. Yeah. Okay. We can, that's amazing. Have you had anyone that hasn't returned calls? I mean, is it like pretty high return or not really?
I think that initially it took a little while to get off the ground.
Yeah.
But more recently, now that we've gotten a track record of businesses that have already come on board, it's getting much easier to get my phone calls returned or my requests for a meeting returned. And people are at least giving me some of the time of day, as opposed to at the very beginning, when we were first starting. It's something that was never done before, so It was a little bit more of an uphill battle. However, I used the references of the guys from French Funerals and their testimonials to get me in the door with these other businesses that have kind of got the starting to get the ball rolling with this.
Yeah, the thing I love about that's super smart to use it because you did an origin story for them, so they knew what it was like. I would even say for people who are wanting to try something brand new and they don't have any case studies or testimonials, the thing is, like, if you just reach out to people that you've done business with or people that have known you for a long time and can speak to your character, they can speak to the results that your business can bring. It doesn't have to be, on this very specific project, but for you to be able to say like, hey, I've worked with, so-and-so who is an iconic figure of some sorts or whatever, that brings something rather than, most of us won't do the thing because we're afraid or intimidated or just think like, I don't even have a sample. So why is anybody going to say yes to that? But to have anything, even if the only thing somebody, I got my mom to say, Ryan is a trustworthy, blah, blah, blah. She has a different last name than me. So, we could slide. But, for you to have anything that speaks to hopefully the results that your work can bring. And if you don't have that, then it's like, well, what kind of person are you? Or what kind of, company do you have? I don't know. Like, just spitballing here, trying to.
Yeah. That's always the challenge is, how do we approach somebody in a way where it's you have a chance of at least getting them to start a conversation with you. So like you said, when I tell people you've been nominated as one of Albuquerque's most iconic companies, it softens their attitude, I believe.
Yeah.
To the point where they go, oh, wow. That's kind of neat. I'm not the enemy. This hard sell guy coming at them with this thing, and I just say we have this project that we're doing that's going to benefit the community, and you can give back to the community through this platform. So when they hear that, usually they're more apt to want to listen to my entire pitch, so to speak.
Back when I started my video company, stock footage, it used to be the worst. It was terrible quality, super cheesy shots, and really small selection, and it was really expensive. That is not the case with Storyblocks. They offer affordable subscription plans to their enormous library of stock footage, and with their unlimited access plan, you get access to the whole library, including HD and 4K footage. They've got After Effects and Premiere Pro templates, music, images, sound effects, and more. Seriously, there is tons. There have been so many projects where our team just needed one extra shot. Maybe the day after the shoot, the client was like, hey, this would have been a great thing to get. And we're like, ah. Or in post-production, they're like, hey, it'd be a really cool shot. We've saved our clients and ourselves a ton of money and headaches and heartaches. And we've saved a couple of projects that just needed that one special shot with our Storyblocks subscription. Head over to storyblocks.com/Studio Sherpas to help you create more video with their affordable subscriptions. Yeah, I love that, man. Yeah, and even really just getting that thing off the ground, having a dozen or so. I mean, you could do that. Like, you could do like a yearly thing and have people vote. Like, once you get a good pool of people, so it could be like, 2021, like who's the best of, and there are so many of those kinds of things, but that's fine. Like there's so many other podcasts on how to grow a video business, or there's so many other YouTube channels on the same thing. It's like, it doesn't matter. Like if this is your jam, you get excited about this, like you can bring value in whatever area, and you don't have to have an audience of, 10,000. Like if you had 50 businesses that were interested in this, like, holy cow, like that could be your entire business just working with, 50 different companies. I mean, that would be amazing, right?
That's what I'm working for. That's definitely what we're working on. I think that one of the things that has happened is that it's enabled us to still go forward in spite of COVID.
Yeah.
Having something that we can do in spite of the pandemic and things of that nature. So, yeah, it's definitely something that. Plus, I just think that no matter what entrepreneur I talk to or business owner, usually they have a very fascinating hero's journey, and it's a great story to delve into and find out. One of the things I loved about your marketing class that I took, Ascend, was one of the things that you say is as part of the Ascend process is let's do an agenda, but then part of the agenda is you share your story and I share mine. And oftentimes when I just ask the question, tell me a little bit about your story and about how this all came to be. Sometimes it's not unusual for them to go 30, 40 minutes before I have a chance to ask another question of them. They just start
Yeah.
telling the story, and then and you get a pretty good idea of what are the arcs of the story and how that story could be told in such a way where, okay, this would make a good hook. This would make a really neat part of their hero's journey process of the obstacles that they had overcome,
Yeah.
the odds that they had overcome, and the things that they had to do. And I think that, for me, as business owners, I love hearing those stories because they're inspirational for me. Because I don't know of any entrepreneur, any business owner, anybody who started a business who hasn't gone through severe adversity to get to where they are. And, I think that people that are successful are the people that have been able to work through all of that adversity. And I get inspired by hearing their hero's journey. And then, of course, we love being able to tell those stories as well, too, in terms of what that's kind of what we're made to do, is to help tell these stories, right?
I love that. Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I love having a podcast, because I get to hear people's stories and hear what's working, hear what's not. For you, like, what would you say, like, one of the bigger challenges is that you've overcome or have been able to overcome being in business for as long as you have been?
Yeah, well, I think being in the photo business for many years, in 1999, we were one of the first photography studios in the country to switch from film to digital. And we were on the bleeding edge of that technology. The problem is when we brought it all in, we invested, thousands and thousands of dollars into all this equipment and new cameras, new film, instead of film, new printing technology, things of that nature. We got it in and it didn't work. None of it worked. And we had to close down our company for 3 months, and we almost went bankrupt in the process of doing that until we got all of the bugs and things of those ironed out. So that was one thing. And then also the last several years, the steady decline in the photo business, seeing our sales just dwindle and our profits dwindle each and every year. And having a place to pivot to, though, with storytelling and video production and things of that nature was one of the most challenging things that I think we've had to overcome with our company and our business.
Yeah. What in 1999? What camera line were you guys using?
Well, back then they didn't have Canon, they didn't have Nikon or things of that nature. There was this company, I forget the name of it, but they made a digital back for the Hasselblad camera.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I forgot the name. I forget the name of it, but it cost us $20,000 for that digital back for that Hasselblad camera. But we were spending thousands and thousands of dollars on film and things of that nature. We said, "Oh, this will save it," but but technology never saves you money. I discovered, with
Yeah.
all the software updates and all of the other types of hardware updates you have to do, we thought we would save money by going to digital. It didn't save us any money, so
Oh
that's
my
just the
gosh.
fallacy of this thought that technology can save you money. Not
Yeah.
always.
Yeah. Yeah. Not always, but so what advice, we're kind of in this interesting time, and regardless of the today, there are always opportunities. There's always things happening in the marketplace, kind of like how you said, like going from film to digital. Nobody would ever even thought that there was like, that was ever going to happen. So, which presented a bunch of challenges. And then today, everybody having an amazing phone with an amazing camera on their phone, and now 4K, 8K in their pocket, so all of these things that can present themselves as challenges and problems, and wreck the industry and whatever, make us have to think way differently than we do about our businesses. As you're thinking about the video business, and there are a lot of people that are at the very early stages of their business. What advice, not like predict the future, but as a business owner, I think there are things that you would say, like, oh, this is definitely going to happen in your business, not related to technology necessarily. But how would you tell people to prepare for the adversity and the challenges that are ahead, or that are right here, right now?
Yeah, one of the things that you presented in your course that you gave us was know who your ideal client is going to be. Who do you want to serve? Who are the types of people you want to serve? And for me, like I was sharing with you earlier, because I've been in business for most of my life and I've run a business, I'm actually I'm not any good at filming. I'm not any good at post production. I'm not any good at lighting and all that stuff. My team does that, but I think more like a business guy. So I think in terms of this whole idea of an ideal client, for me, I'm always looking to serve business owners who have a problem. And the business owners that I talk to today, I think that they come in one of two categories. One category is they have plenty of sales and plenty of customers, but they are having trouble recruiting employees to
Mm,
their company.
right, right.
So that's a big problem, if you have trouble doing that. So one of the things that I had an opportunity to meet with this veterinary clinic that was privately owned here in Albuquerque a few months ago. And he said his biggest problem is competing against these corporate giants who own all the veterinary clinics throughout the country. They spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on recruiting all of the veterinary school graduates out of all the veterinary schools. And for an independent like him, he was having trouble attracting those types of people into his organization. And I said, so what is the financial implication of that? And he said, if I can bring in one veterinarian, they could probably bring me at least $600,000 of revenue every year. And then I said, so then what is your prognostication and how long you could keep them? He said, at least 5 years. So I said, so one veterinary school graduate, if you bring them in, that's like a $3 million impact to your practice. And he thought about it. He says, yeah. So then, when I pitched him my $18,000 project, it paled in comparison to the $3 million impact that he's going to have on his company. So we produced three recruiting videos for him that were all, many of you are familiar with the story brand format of, and we made their associate veterinarians the heroes of the story, and they shared from their heart why this was such a great place to work, why this was such more a personalized, more family-like environment as a clinic to work than if they would have gone to one of these big corporate conglomerates to work. And basically use the story brand format of having the veterinarians be the hero of the story, the clinic as being the wise guide who has empathy for what they're going through, They're not going to be treated like the low man on the totem pole when they join the company. They're going to be respected for their education that they just received from veterinary school, knowing that they probably have the best and the greatest knowledge in terms of the best practices for for the veterinary practices. And basically, he was telling me that they were able to successfully recruit this veterinary school graduate recently, and he asked her, "How did you make the decision to join us?" He says, "I saw your video, and I said that's the place where I want to work." So there you go. So I believe that as video production people, we have the power to really come alongside business owners and with whatever business problem that they have and make a huge difference in terms of their bottom line. And is this guy a fan of mine? Yeah, because I got him this veterinary school. I was instrumental helping him get this veterinary school graduate to join his team, as opposed to one of those multi-corporate conglomerates. And he's delighted with what we did for him. So I'm thinking that there's opportunities for video production companies in terms of recruiting videos, and also for helping them increase sales, helping them tell their story so people understand what their why is, and then also training videos as well too.
Oh man, Paul, there's so much in that. Yes, that is amazing. Congrats. That guy paid for the video with one new vet. I mean, granted, he's going to have him for, probably 5 years, maybe longer. So, that investment that he made in video, I mean, it's like that. And for you to have that as a case study, that's so good. That's just going to help other people in the future say like, yeah, I guess that does make sense. So the fact that you're bringing up the value of what it is that that video can do for people, man, I just think through like that vet to say it was the video, the next thing that's the next closest thing to video to, I think, convince somebody would be a friend or a respected colleague that is telling them, look, like I've been working here, or I know about these guys, like to get that firsthand, story or encouragement to, really investigate. Otherwise, like, what is there? Like, you can read a brochure, you can read look at pictures on a website. And like most of the time it's like stock photos and, in the web, the copy isn't moving, right? It's just like, here's who we are, here's what we do, here's how long we've been in the community, which is, it's helpful information. But if, there's 5 competitors out there, they all look and feel and sound the same-ish. To have somebody's story and somebody share like what this place means and like how it's changed their life and like blah, blah, blah. I mean, like, yeah, of course that's going to be the difference maker. So, for you to be guiding them through that, I just love it. So cool.
Yeah. And I think that, one of the things that I've loved about your training, you talked about having the initial discovery meeting with clients. Mm-hmm. So one of the questions that I typically ask in a discovery meeting that I've added is questions such as, how much would this veterinarian bring to you in terms of revenue, so that they understand the financial impact? Or if it's sales, how much is the lifetime value of one customer worth to you? Right. So you get them to change their frame of reference to go, gosh, one customer can be $25,000 in revenue for me. If I just get one customer, would it pay for itself? This project that we're pitching for this video. And so that helps convert people to saying, yes, this is absolutely worth it.
Well, yeah, because otherwise they're looking at, they spent $10,000 on their website and they did this, and they can't really point to like that thing, necessarily being the thing that brings them more business. But as soon as the web developer says like, hey, like, you can have a website like this or like this, but what would a bad website do for you? It's like, well, it wouldn't bring us any clients. What would a website that does its job and does it well? And actually a really good website is going to have a good story video. That's going to,
Absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I'm so encouraged. I love your, entrepreneurial spirit and just the way that you are applying what you've learned and the importance of story for you, how you're just making that work to have a successful business, but also like. The beautiful thing with what you're doing is like you're adding so much value to these businesses. So it doesn't just work for you to like get these clients and have a successful business, but you're actually helping these other businesses have successful businesses. So I commend you for that. That's really good stuff, man.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. That's the whole point is if we can make it make sense. As a business owner, I know I've wasted tons of money on ads that didn't work and wasted money on hiring bad employees and also all of those types of things. So I think I just have a natural empathy and affinity for what business owners go through. So my angle is always, how can we, with what we do, serve them so that it's going to give them a good return on investment, and it's a no-brainer for them to work with me on this. So that's kind of what my mindset is when I'm meeting with prospective clients.
I love that. Paul, where can people follow you online and just check out what you've got going on?
Our website is mojicinema.com. And if somebody wants to contact me, my email address is paul@mojistudios.com. So feel free to drop me a line. Happy to help in any way. And then Facebook, we're listed under mojicinema.com. So those are different ways that people can find us.
I love it. Awesome, my friend. Well, any last words here? Any parting thoughts for us?
Well, I just say if you haven't taken Ryan's course, definitely take it. It was very helpful for me, transitioning from being in the photo business into learning how to run a video production company. So I would highly recommend the Studio Sherpas for what you guys are doing to help video production businesses grow their business. So that's my parting shot as a plug for you.
Thank you. Just as you're listening, I didn't ask Paul to do that. That was a surprise. Thank you. That's too kind, Paul. I appreciate that. Appreciate you very much, my friend. It's so glad that we got to have this time together.
Oh, I appreciate it too, Ryan. Thanks a lot.
All right, my friend. Well, what did you think of this episode? Did you think Paul's idea, his marketing idea, is genius? Is this something that you would consider doing for your own business? I'm curious. Or am I the only other one that's excited and like, oh my gosh, this is totally genius? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to sign up for the 5-day Grow Your Video Business Challenge. You can do that at studiosherpas.com/challenge. Remember, it's free. We're going to jump into some ways to help you get unstuck in your business and equip you with more confidence than you've ever had before so that you can crush it, my friend. Sign up, studiosherpas.com/challenge. That's it. Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you inside of our Facebook group at Grow Your Video Business Challenge. If you're not there, you can join us there. That would be cool too. But I'm in your corner. I am rooting for you and excited to hear about your amazing success stories. And So, okay, signing off now. Too bad somebody's not here to just say, Ryan, stop. Okay, you're good. This show's over. Okay. All right. Yep. This is when the credits start rolling and the music starts coming up. And then it's like, okay, I'm out of here. Seriously. Love you. Appreciate you. And I will talk to you real soon. See ya.